Gilbert Bays was a ceramicist who created sculptures for the Somerstown community in the 1920s. Many of these sculptures were destroyed, stolen, and sold for profit. The T-Factor project aims to celebrate arts, culture, and heritage in Euston by supporting A Space for Us, People's Museum Somerstown, in restoring the sculptures as digital artifacts accessible on the streets through augmented reality.
I'm outside the People's Museum, Somerstown, that supports the local community and helps to preserve its working class heritage, and also celebrates the ceramics and sculpture works of Gilbert Bays.
So the reason I started the museum was basically because the area was kind of in some ways disappearing or at risk, as they put it. I started in, I suppose, 2013, recording people in this area. The museum came about because we'd done all this stuff and started a website. We'd done all the recordings, the film, the books. We ran events. We were very involved in the festival. We live here. We are from this community. I felt very strongly about that kind of sense of place and sense of identity, and it was a purpose. Ian Hamilton, who built Sydney Street Estate, which was the kind of beautiful estate in Somerstown, worked with Gilbert Bays, an artist and sculptor, who's best known for the Selfridges clock. Ian Hamilton said, why should ordinary people not have things of beauty? They had community groups, they had courtyards. In each courtyard there was a circle of drying posts for washing. People put their washing, and on each post was what's called a finial. It just means a decorative, and it was a ceramic figure about 1.5 foot high. A lot of the finials went missing. The Housing Association took them down, and then they were stolen. Now they end up being, I became aware of this because my colleague in the History Club, Stephen McCarthy, did these kind of hidden walks and would take people around, and we were both, I was quite shocked by this story because it's like a theft and it's a working class area. Why can't working class areas, like Ian Hamilton said, have things of beauty? And it represents the area. It's so symbolic. Why has that been taken away? So I started on a quest a few years ago. We did walks, we did events. This was way before lockdown. And eventually I raised money to do a heritage trail. I actually, in 2022, managed to find 2 in America. Steve texted me and said, there's 2 on sale on an auction. And rather than say, oh, that's such a shame, I said, I'm just going to raise the money and get them. So I raised 13 grand, and I'm in the newspaper there, for these 2. And I managed to buy them. It was very nerve-wracking because it was an auction, and there were other people in America with probably deeper pockets. And then we went for GLA money for a public realm project, which means outside, to commemorate them and work with an architecture group called Edit Collective. They're all female, actually, and they're going to create an artwork outside in Phoenix Road, and then we've created a heritage trail which goes all the way up to the estate, and people will be able to use their phone and look at the information that we've gathered.
Okay, so there was 3 different methodologies we used to make the models. Well, when we're talking about 3D things, we tend to talk about them as models. So they're not the thing, they're a model of the thing, is why we call them models, to make that distinction. And then the 3 methodologies were 3D scanning, and then fixing 3D scans and making them from photographs, so from archival imagery. And the 3D scanning of the ones that exist fed into the other ones, because that gave me the data and the look and feel of how to then fix the ones which were broken and then model the ones from the photographs that we don't physically have anymore. And so they were the 3 ways that we got the models for it.
Yeah, so I think what's, as Tom's explained, our role has been really that Tom's coded the platform that will be used for visitors to Somers Town, but not just visitors, but residents, because I think what's important about the trail is that actually a lot of residents in the different estates can't necessarily access their neighbouring estates. So a lot of the Gilbert Bay's finials and reliefs are kind of locked down in the centres of some of the estates that actually aren't visible on the street or visible to other people that live locally. So what's important about the project is that because all of the finials that Tom's referred to that have been either digitised because they already exist or they exist in other lockdown locations like the V&A, or they only exist in images rather than being remodelled. What the digital trail will enable is for the finials to all come together so that if you're stood on the street and you know that the washing line, so the finials are on top of the washing line drying areas that can be in the centre of the estates that you can't see from the street. So it means that somebody on the street with all of the knowledge from the People's Museum, they'll have the history of the finials that they'll be looking at, and then that will be able to see them on their phones.